Hey there, and welcome to the second part of the Beginner's Guide to Puyo Puyo. As usual, this will be based off the How to Play Puyo Puyo guide from Puyo Nexus, which I will link below. Now in the last video, we learned about the blocking method, where we made our chain one part at a time, only extending our chain by repeatedly covering our trigger. Unfortunately, this is pretty inefficient. Since you're only ever working with two colors at any given time, you're going to be wasting a lot of Puyos. To be more efficient with your Puyos, you'll need to learn how to think ahead and play in a non-linear kind of way. To do this, we're going to start learning some patterns. Now, patterns are just combo formations that can combo into themselves repeatedly. So, you can see here, this combo is just one form done over and over and over again. Their pattern format makes them easier to remember and visualize, which in turn will make it easier to focus on multiple parts of your chain instead of just focusing on the front end. For this video, we're going to focus on the pattern called 3-1 stairs, because it's the easiest to visualize and to make. You'll see this pattern used by a lot of low to mid-level players, and even the rare advanced player, but I should point out that to become good at the game, you'll need to learn more than this. The idea behind a 3-1 stairs chain is simple. Make two columns of 3, then place the necessary color onto the adjacent column. Repeat this and you get a 3-1 stairs pattern. Generally speaking, but by no means a hard fast rule, if you get a set of Puyos that are the same color, place them vertically. If you get a set of Puyos that are a different color, place them horizontally. But again, this is by no means a hard fast rule. Unfortunately, because what colors you get is up to RNG, what colors your columns are and what order you build them in is entirely random. As such, there's not really a good way to teach you how to build these, you kinda just have to practice them yourself. Now, that isn't to say there aren't some important pointers you should keep in mind while playing, so at the very least I can teach you those. The first thing you need to do is pay attention to what's next. To kinda give you an idea of what I mean, I'm going to try to break down piece by piece how I build this next chain. So here I'm going to put the double reds in column 1, vertically of course. Looking at the next screen, there's not really any reason to do it this way opposed to any other way. There aren't any colors that match, so I can't really plan anything out right now. Next I have a blue-green, which I need to place horizontally. I can see in the next window that I have a red-green, so if I place my current piece like this, I can use the upcoming red-green piece to build up columns 1 and 2. As for the upcoming double yellows, I can put them either here or here. As far as I can tell, it doesn't really matter. We have 3 places we can put this piece. If we use the piece here, we'll have finished a column, which is almost always a plus. We can also use the upcoming pieces to complete the blue column and place the necessary green on top. If we use the yellow here, we'll have finished a column, but we won't get to use the next blue piece to build up column 3. In fact, we wouldn't really have anywhere good to put the upcoming blue-yellow piece. So this option seems less optimal than the first option. The third option is to put it here. We would then try to build up a green stack in column 5. The next 2 green pieces would probably be going to column 2, so it might be a while before we finish our green stack in column 5. Based off all this, it's probably best to put this piece here, and then use the upcoming pieces to finish off column 3. I can either place this red on top of column 2, or I can use the red to start building a stack in column 5. I can see the next window has 2 reds in it, which means I would be guaranteed a red stack in column 5 within the next 3 placements. That way, if I get a yellow, I can place it on top of my newly made red column, whereas if I use the red on top of column 2, I would not be able to use any yellows I got until I finish column 5's red stack. Given this, building up column 5 would probably be the smart thing to do. Of course, I'm not very smart. The rest of the combo is pretty self-explanatory. Hopefully this gave you a slight idea of what you need to look out for when you're building your stairs, and combos in general. With practice, you'll internalize all this, and will have a pretty good intuition where each piece should go. Here's another important thing to keep in mind. See the green and blue columns here? For this combo to work, to the upper right we also need a green and a blue. But here's the thing. So long as we get the green and blue within the upper 3 rows, the combo will work. We don't need to get it exactly on top of the adjacent columns. Here, we have it in the 2nd row, but as I said, it could be in the 1st or 3rd row. So long as it's within one of these 3 rows, the combo will work. The big takeaway though is that if you get a color you can't use while building, you can just put it on top of a complete column, so long as you get the right color within the 3 rows. Another thing that should be obvious, but I still see people do sometimes, don't fill up both the first and 6th column at the same time, unless you're trying to make a transition, which we'll talk about later. You can still place up to 2 pieces in the column, but if you place 3 or more in, you won't be able to reach your trigger, and you'll be forced to waste time popping the extra Puyos. An easy way to make this chain stronger is through power chaining, which means making one of the links in your chain, usually the last one, stronger by popping extra sets of Puyo during that link. Here you can see I'm placing extra sets of Puyos on the top left so that they'll pop on the 5th link of my chain. A harder way to make this chain stronger is to extend it through tailing, which I might cover in a later video. It's more an intermediate to advanced idea, and this guide is mainly for beginners. But for now, practice making 5 chains using this method until you can get them consistently. While it is technically up to RNG whether you can make this pattern, you should still be able to make them consistently. And if you can, it means you're properly thinking ahead and planning, which is the whole point of learning this. That's all for now. In the next video, we'll talk about sandwiches.